Hi, welcome and thank you for joining us with the Hope Ministry as we come to you on today to talk about navigating grief and also seasonal depression during the holidays. And so we just thank you for joining in with us. We just would like to give special honor to Pastor Respis, First Lady, Sister Respis as well, for just giving us this platform to be able to share about mental health and wellness. And so I'm Shakitha Owens, Director of the Hope Ministry, and we have Sister Brenda Boyd, who's also over the Grief Ministry. So we're just grateful today to be here to be able to bring this information to you. And Sister Boyd is going to start us out as she share on grief. Thank you again.
Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Brenda Boyd. I am a member of Antioch's Hope Ministry, and our Hope Ministry, what we do, we help to bring awareness and we help to provide hope as well to those experiencing mental health challenges. Our focus displays the love of Christ with a commitment to offering a lifeline through education and prevention. And through the course of what you review today, if you have any comments, questions, please feel free to reach out to us at hope@antiochcurrent.org. And so we're going to go ahead and dive in to it. I'm going to share my screen. And the topic that I'm bringing you today focuses on the griever, and not just the griever as well, but also the grieve, those that we care and we support through the grieving process. And it's entitled, Please Be Patient, I'm Grieving. There's nine ways to care for and support the grieving heart. And just as it's displayed here, how the heart is in those hands is the way of how we bring about the griever as we walk alongside them. So the 9 ways to care for others that are grieving. Grief, we know that it's natural, it is a necessary, but it's also a normal response to grief, to a loss. And, you know, many of us, we struggle with basically just how to be able to show up and enter their world. And then we possibly lose sight or miss the opportunity to engage and to be able to mention to our loved one just how much we have been praying for them, or they're in our thoughts and they're in our prayers. But then we tend to kind of maybe walk away and we're thinking, oh my gosh, I should have said something. I should have provided a hug. What can I say? So today, so I hope that you will be able to take away a little bit of the nuggets or whatever that will be discussed here. And the first one we're talking about is showing up, as I mentioned, and enter their world. And so when you enter their world, you're meeting them where they are. You want to show up and listen. You want to encourage without evaluation. When you do, you show love and you show compassion. You enter their world and just to be with them. And, you know, as I mentioned before, some of the words to be able to say, and can I give you a hug? And let that love, let that hug possibly last at least maybe 10 seconds, I would say. And you say, you know, you've been on my mind. Hey, take a walk with me. Can I take you out to coffee? Is there something more that I can do possibly for you? Respect their pain. To respect their pain is to know that grief really hurts. Grief is pretty heavy. We should appreciate their pain. We should acknowledge their pain. We need to learn to hear from the heart. And, you know, words are very overrated. So we're going to show up with ourselves. We give the gift of self. Accept their feelings, because grief can be an emotional roller coaster, up and down. You enter their world, you accept them as they are, through the ups and through the downs. And if I can just be transparent with you right now, on just this morning, I lost a loved one very close to me. And so I am grieving at this very time as I deliver this to you. So I know that that we're talking about the little nuggets. I'm going to kind of go back and forth with them myself as well. Grow with them. You know, through grief, the grief is going to change them, as it should, because their normal is no longer considered normal. You know, their life is changing. The person that's closest to them is gone. And so now they're left to pick up the pieces. And so when you are with the griever, considering everything that has happened, just make sure and to know that you show that compassion, you show that support, that you are caring, and just know that little triggers too along the way will occur. But when they do, just be there. Share their loneliness. Share it in their loneliness. Pretty much, far as grief can be lonely, can be very, very lonely. But, you know, when we're sitting with someone that is grieving, that it is a moment where there's times when we just be there with them, and just basically let them talk and just not have an agenda at all. Be a safe person. So what do I mean by being a safe person? A safe person is someone is non-judgmental. They are empathetic. They're the kind of person that is just to be able to sit with the griever. And I just want to know, are you a safe person? Because you would want to have someone just to sit beside you, to maybe perhaps to invite you out for coffee, or to provide that hug, to become a safe person to where you can be able to be with them at any given moment. How about just staying consistent and checking on them, picking up the phone? How are you doing? Hey, let's get out. Let's go and have lunch. Hey, come on over to the house. Just different things or whatever that you can definitely invite them in. Connect them with others who know grief. You know, many of us, we know others who have lost, and it is good and it's affirming also to that griever that is hurting to be able to connect with someone else, because what it does is confirming, is reassuring, and it's pretty much all those things. And just to know that someone else is there, a community of people. You know, God actually created us really for relationships, and in those relationships that we're to establish, that that He's put us here for, you know, checking on people, you know, providing that love, God's love, is everything, abundantly everything. Also, I want to mention they are support groups as well, grief support groups. You can walk alongside them to actually get necessary resources so they can get plugged in. Let their grief help you heal and grow. You know, for this one, when I'm looking at the fact that it would help me, you know, many of us focus on grief in many, many different ways. Many of us have been brought up with our view of grief being a little different. But just as you're walking alongside someone that has grief, it's also going to open up your heart as well. It's going to open it up in such a way to where some feelings, maybe some past feelings, that's going to come up about a loved one or loss that you have experienced. And what it will do, it will take you along to help to be able to heal some of those wounds if you're opening in your heart. And then that may be the very time, the very moment that healing starts to progress. Be patient with yourself. This is merely being understanding, loving, and compassionate, realizing that grief does not have a timetable. It takes as long as it takes, and just remaining consistent, inviting, walking us alongside the griever. And these 9 ways of caring and supporting others, you may jump in the middle. You may jump back at the beginning. You can even jump back at the end, but just going back and forth is somewhat of a guide to be able to make sure that you are caring enough for the individual as well, because we never know that when that time comes for us, or perhaps that many of us are grieving loved ones ourselves and healing through them, then we can definitely use this guide as well. So I just wanted to share with you that this was written by an author. His name is Gary Rowe, and he wrote this for grievers, for them, because they had very much of concerns and wanted to know that, and us that is actually on the giving end, that we really to be able to walk alongside them that are hurting. And again, it does also help us as well on the receiving end. So again, all the many 9 ways, and perhaps then there's other ones. You may even have your own unique way of connecting with that loved one. You know, many of us, our coworkers, our peers, our family members, those that are closest to us, we can radar in right in on how they're feeling. But just know, just being able to hold that heart in your hand, being careful with them, being sure that you connect with them at any given time, and just know that time, it will take as long as it will take in order to go through the healing process. There is no routine. And as long as you stay consistent and they feel the love that surround them, because literally they don't want you to fix it. They just want you to just to be with them, just to sit with them. And so if that's you, and you seeking someone to pray with you, we do have a grief ministry, and please don't suffer in silence. Please email us at grief@antiochcorinth.org, and we will definitely get back with you urgently and pray with you. And if resources is what you need as well, we can definitely assist you with those as well. So again, please don't suffer. And you know someone this holiday season, we all are experiencing the holiday blues coming up, whether it be very, very many different things, but there's those that are definitely really that are hurting. This is their first year without their loved one. Could be many years that they've missed their loved one. And it could be just that moment. It could be something about that piece of clothing article. It could be a song. It could be something that you've missed that you've done together. And it's those types of things that they would definitely may not immediately say anything, but that you've been with them, and you know just how the heart could be feeling, right? You know, like they could have had a moment, right? You zero in on that, and then you help to sit with them and continue to pray for them, because through a wide world of community, and where it starts right here, this entire platform, as it is needed, we have many others that are suffering. And we want to be that lifeline for you. Sister Chiquita?
Awesome. Thank you, Sister Brenda. That was an awesome presentation. One thing that I just wanted to kind of touch on that I really, really like that you shared about being able to bounce back and forth through those 9 tips that you shared. And it reminded me of how when one is going through the stages of grief, how they can be in multiple stages at the same time. They bounce back and forth. And so being able to be versatile and bouncing back and forth through these stages that you just shared of being able to help someone definitely is important, because you don't know what they are in their stage of grief. Yes. And being able to be flexible and being able to be supportive and being there, I think is so important. But thank you so much for sharing that. And hopefully, if you have a loved one that you are helping, or if you're grieving yourself, like Sister Brenda says, she's grieving herself this morning. And so we're just going to keep you lifted up in prayer, Sister Brenda,
Thank you.
as well, because none of us are exempt from grief. And so definitely we just thank God that we're able to be a support to one another and have a platform like this to be able to share information, help others. And so I am going to go ahead and I'm going to share on seasonal depression. And seasonal depression is one of those things that a lot of different people experience, may not even realize that they're experiencing it. And so I'm just going to start out seasonal affective disorder. This one particularly is in the DSM-5, and that the DSM-5, for those of you that don't know what it is, it's the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, and this is what mental health professionals use to diagnose. So when you hear about bipolar, schizophrenia, the same. Just like doctors have to have a guideline base to diagnose when you go for the flu. When you get your little receipt or your statement back and they have all these little digits that they've marked on there and it has your diagnosis on there. Well, as a therapist, for psychologists, psychiatrists, like we diagnose from the DSM-5, and there's a set of criteria that a person has to meet in order to meet those diagnoses. And so seasonal affective disorder is what I'm going to be sharing with you about today. And seasonal affective disorder is one of those disorders. You've probably heard it as the winter blues. We've also heard people call it winter depression. That's another name we hear sometimes because a lot of people experience this during the winter months. You may have heard it as just being said as SAD. SAD, that is the short-term version for seasonal affective disorder. So it's also called that as well. It's also classified in the DSM-5 as a type of depression. And so I want you all to remember that it's been classified as a type of depression. And one of the things that I want to share is that majority of the time when we see depression, anxiety is majority of the time connected to it in some form or some fashion. Depression on its own causes feelings of sadness, hopelessness, and reduced energy. Whereas anxiety, we know, creates feelings of nervousness, being worried or dread. And a lot of times when we think about anxiety, we think about having a panic attack. That's one of those things that a lot of people talk about, is having a panic attack when we think about anxiety. Having jitters, butterflies in your stomach. So anxiety, when I think about it, is more of a physical feeling, like your body is actually going through this thing and feeling every response from it. And so although these two conditions, anxiety and depression, are different, you can have both of them at the same time. You can have them at the same time. And so I just want you to remember that, that definitely, and especially, I'll give a quick example as we're talking about, as Sister Brenda just talked about grief. We know that grief is an actual, an emotion as well that people experience. And so if we're not careful, if we're not, getting that support and all of the things that Sister Brenda just shared, like we literally could go into a state of depression because we're grieving the loss of a loved one. And so just think about when you're getting ready, if you've ever had to get ready to, to put your loved one away for the services, the funeral, just leading all up to that. If you were the planner and you had to do all of that, that is anxiety in itself. Just trying to get all of those things done. And even if you were not a planner, if you were just attending the service, that's anxiety as well, because of, everything that's going on during that service. And we already know that there's going to be a lot of crying and there's going to be a lot of heartache. And so that brings upon anxiety. So if you're already depressed, in a sense. You just think. So now you got it coupled now with the anxiety as well. And so with SAD, some of the symptoms could include, having a sad mood. The symptoms could also include, again, as I shared earlier, low energy, just like the regular depression. And to meet the criteria for SAD, it's really just basically meeting the same criteria for a regular depression. And then the only difference really is that you only have it during this seasonal period, during the fall and the winter months. And there's another diagnosis of SAD that people experience in the summer as well. So it's not only just the winter blues. Some people actually have the summer blues, and I've heard people that have that as well. And so just a few statistics for you. 5% of the US population experience seasonal depression. 5%. And this comes from the Mental Health of America. So just think about that. Like, out of all the people in the US, at least 5% of them are dealing with this. And it's a disorder often experienced by women. And this is one that is triggered, again, by limited exposure to sunlight. And nurses and other health professionals who do shift work may be at particular risk. So that's something else that for those of you that are in nursing or that work all of the weird shifts, just think about, whether or not if you've been affected by this, or if you are affected, because it could throw off your sleeping, which all of that is connected as well, connected with SAD. It could affect your sleeping. And 4 out of 5 people who have seasonal affective disorder are women. So that's a whole nother statistic for you. 4 out of 5 are women that have this disorder. And it normally starts around the age of between 20 and 30 years old. However, symptoms can appear earlier than this. And this comes from the Mental Health of America as well. Treatment, when we look at some of the treatments, SAD is light therapy. Sunlight is the best, being able to get it naturally. But they also have machines where you can actually have the light therapy. As you can see, this young lady is sitting in front of one of those. And if you can actually go online on Amazon and Google it and find them. But one of the things that you just want to be careful with is make sure if you are doing that you're doing it under the guidance of a doctor. And that's important because you never know. You want to make sure that you're doing something that you're not doing anything that's gonna harm you. So you want to make sure because some of these machines are made differently. They're not all the same. And also, I just want to share with the light therapy, if you don't have access to a machine or any of those things, you can always try to get light just by opening up the windows, opening up the blinds. That's one of my favorite. I love light. A lot of people like to sit in darkness. That's not me. And I just always knew it's something about the light. But we know about the light of Jesus too, right? I don't want to be in darkness. I want to be in the light. So another treatment is antidepressants. And so selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, they call them SSRIs, are preferred. This is one of the preferred antidepressants for treating SAD. And the reason why is because it increases the level of the hormone serotonin in your brain. And this can help you with lifting your mood. And so one of the things that a lot of people are not aware of is that serotonin is also required for melatonin production. Now melatonin is so popular. We hear melatonin everywhere. They're talking about your skin color and melatonin. And I mean, you just hear that word being thrown around all over the place. And a lot of people are buying, I went to the store the other day, they have melatonin in the kiddie section for the babies. There's a lot of parents buying that melatonin to get those babies to sleep because they won't go to sleep. So But the melatonin is required. The serotonin is required for melatonin production, and this regulates our sleep and our wake cycles, which is often disrupted in people that have SAD. So just keep that in mind. If you're having difficulty sleeping, and we know that we just crossed over into a whole nother time zone, another time frame right now. So a lot of people are struggling trying to get on board with that. But just make sure, if you're having problems, that you consult with your doctor so that you can make sure that whatever it is that you have going on, that it's not connected to SAD. Yes. The next one is vitamin D. So vitamin D is another contributor that helps as well with SAD. Vitamin D, we know we can get that through pills. Some people can just take the pills and take them. And we can also get it through our nutrition. So it's up to you how you choose to get the vitamin D, but definitely you want to make sure that you're getting it. And definitely make sure you're getting that sunlight. It's counseling. So we want to make sure that you're getting that, because if you're going to any psychiatrist or psychologist, majority of them are going to recommend, especially if you're on medication, if you're on those antidepressants, they're going to recommend that you couple whatever you're doing with them with counseling. So counseling is so important, and you never want to leave that out. With the grief as well, you want to have someone that you can talk to so that you don't fall into that depressive state. Because once you get there, it's kind of like digging yourself up out of a place that you can't see your way out of. And it's difficult, especially if you don't have the right support in place. So definitely make sure you seek out the help that you need. And like Sister Brenda said, the grief ministry is there as well, and the hope ministry is there for you. Moving forward here at the end of this month, next week, we have Thanksgiving coming up. And so we want to just make sure that we just keep these things in mind that you've heard today, because the holidays can bring about so much sadness. It can bring about happiness too, because we're going to be with our family and enjoying food, enjoying all of the things that we do during the holidays. But for those of us that are dealing with grief, the loss of a loved one, it may not look like this. It may not feel like this. And so we just want to make sure that, because we know that it may not look like this and it may not feel like this, that you all have the supports in place to be able to get the help that you need. And so I've put together a list of resources here. And I just want to share that a lot of jobs offer employee assistance program. You may have heard it as EAP. It stands for Employee Assistance Program. And there, if you go to your human resources and ask them about this, they will let you know if your job offers it. A lot of them offer anywhere from 3, I've seen as much as 10 sessions free that you don't have to pay for out of pocket. It's provided by your job that has contracted with this mental health company. And so by doing that, you can do couples counseling. If you have your immediate family, they can be covered as well, and they can participate in sessions. So everybody can have their own sessions. It doesn't just have to be for you. So if you have, a son, your spouse, you can try to get them authorizations in place as well. And if you don't have EAP on your job and you have medical insurance, you can check with your medical insurance and ask them about your behavioral health benefits. And then they can give you a list of providers in your area that you can reach out to as well. You may have a deductible, you may have a copay, but definitely try to get the help that you need. And then we also, if you're local, you can check with any of the counties, Dallas County, Collin County, Denton County. This is the number to Denton County MHMR if you're local. And you can reach out to them, and they have resources, and they can be able to help you and help you get services through them for mental health. And I love the MHMRs because they can help you put together a team. So if you needed a psychiatrist, if you needed a counselor, if you needed a caseworker, they have so many services where they can have you with a team of people to be able to be there and be supportive to you as well. And then I have the NAMI, the crisis hotline listed 988. You can call that. It's a 24-hour crisis hotline, but they can also help you with resources and finding additional supports as well. And so that is all I have for you all. And I just want to say again, grief and seasonal affective disorder, like it's present right now as we speak. And so, Sister Brenda, do you have anything that you would like to say before we close out?
Yes, I would. I would like for each of you to know that, there's an article and it's called The Mourner's Right to Grieve, Bill of Rights, as a matter of fact. And one of them that's listed is the griever has a right to talk about their grief. They have the right to feel a multitude of emotions. They have the right to experience their own unique grief, and it's different for everyone. And I just want to address the fact that many of us feel as if grief may take 6 months. It may even take a year. We may think, oh man, they should be through that by now. Not so. Give them their right to grieve. Be understanding, supportive, alongside, to be with them as long as it takes. So I challenge you this holiday season is to invite someone to your table this year, whether it be for Thanksgiving or for Christmas. Remember that person who has had loss and have them to join you at your table. Let this be a beginning. Let this be a beginning of consistency. Let this be a season of intentional. Use it to impact others, because I guarantee you it will impact your own life for its healing. And I also wanted to also go over again the 9 ways to care for others that are grieving. 1, you want to show up and you want to enter their world. You want to say, I am so sorry for your loss. These are just examples. I wish I had the right words. Just know I care. Remember the 10-second hug? You don't got to say anything, just hug them. I am always just a phone call away, not a text away, but a phone call away. 2, acknowledge and respect their pain. 3, accept their emotions. 4, grow with them as they change. Share their loneliness. Be a safe person. Connect them with others, that know grief. Let their grief help you heal and grow. And last but not least, be patient with yourself and them. Understanding, support, caring, compassion, love, all grouped into one, and being along with them for the long road ahead. Sister Chiquita?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sister Boyd, for that. And so we just thank you. Just make sure you all keep in mind those 9 tips, and we will, if you need those, we could definitely have those sent to you. If you didn't get it, definitely you can rewatch this video. We're going to be posted on YouTube and Facebook, so you can watch it as many times as you need to. And so the Hope Ministry is here. The Grief Ministry is here. Antioch is here. There's so many awesome ministries that can be of help to you, to help you through whatever you're going through, especially, any issues that you're having. One of our ministries are here. Somebody is here to help you. And we just thank you for tuning in as we're bringing 2022 to an end. Definitely, we're going to be bringing so much more information in 2023. So we just ask you to tune in and just tune in and make sure you reach out and get the help that you need. And we thank you again. You have a blessed day.